Welcome aboard the new patient group flight deck. Less chaos. Check. Less stress. Check. Less advertising costs. Check. More personal and financial freedom. Check. All right, business checklist completed. Let the takeoff roll begin. Welcome to Season 7 of the New Patient Group Audio Experience, a podcast dedicated to forward-thinking doctors wanting to learn innovative ways to run their business today so your practice can achieve new heights tomorrow. And now your host. He's the founder and CEO of New Patient Group, managing partner of RightChat, and a trusted motivational speaker for Invisalign, OrthoFi, and others. Brian Wright.
Hey, New Patient Group and RightChat Nation. Welcome inside the broadcast booth. Brian Wright here. If you're watching over on our YouTube station, hey there. Hope everybody is doing great out there. You know, one of the things I love most about this new podcast format is the fact that if you really pay attention to just daily interactions that happen, whether you walk into a grocery store or there's so many stories that I can now turn into podcasts that I just see at airports and going out to dinner and just dealing with just businesses that are in the people business first, no different than your orthodontic practice or another type of doctor that might be listening to this. And this new format really allows me to do some short, concise episodes just about these stories. And I have a good one from, we recently moved to Colorado Springs, and Kristen, she had a really good hair lady that she really liked back in Houston. One of the things, being on the Houston Texans and also dancing for the Houston Rockets, they had access to some pretty good, whether it be haircutters or hairstylists, they had access to some pretty good people. And one of the ones she had used for many years and was so happy with that person. And, like with anything, if you find somebody really good at what they do, and then you no longer can find them or use them or whatever it may be, you find yourself kind of constantly in this compare mode. It'd be like if you lost an office manager you really liked and you had to hire a new one. That new one is a little bit at a disadvantage because she's constantly going to be compared with the old office manager, the previous office manager. And that's what she does, as she's looked around in Colorado Springs for a new hair person. It's kind of that, right? I'm going to be referring back to, or I'm going to be thinking about the previous hair person, and I really like that person, really like the way she did my hair, all that stuff. Well, anyway, so Kristen she's a brunette. She has brown hair naturally, but she doesn't like it. So she gets it dyed more of a blonde color. And she went in and tested out a new hairstylist and went in and asked her, I would like to dye my hair blonde or whatever you say. And they really, really went overboard. They really yellowed it out. And it was something she just did not like. I actually liked it. It wasn't my favorite, but I liked it. She asked me if I liked it, and I liked it. And she just couldn't get over it, was not a fan of the way it looked at all. So she called this place back. And as I go through the story, I really want all of you to just be thinking about how many people business first interactions your team members have every single given day. From the social media content that you put out there and how that interacts with potential people that could buy from you, or social media content that you put out there for people that have bought from you to help with compliance and reducing appointment times, to the new patient and existing patient phone calls that your front desk handles, to assistants chairside and the interactions they're having with moms and dads and kids and just overall patients, to your treatment coordinators, to you, to other admin responsibilities. There is so many hundreds of interactions that go on every single day, yet for whatever reason, it is difficult to convince people in orthodontics and other businesses that you've got to get your people trained by business first people experts, consumer experts. And people inside orthodontics are not experts at those things. And this has been my frustration for years, is why in the world would anyone have to convince somebody that every single interaction your team has matters? And why would you not invest in the marketing, in the training, which is all it is the training of your people is the best marketing return on any investment you'll ever make? Why is that difficult to comprehend for people? I don't know. And what happens as a result of lack of training, lack of commitment to repetitive training, is exactly what I'm about to tell with this hair story. So she calls back to this place, and, she's like, look, it went way overboard. It went way more yellow than what I wanted it to be, way more yellow than what I told this person it needed to be. I'd like to come back in and have you fix it. And if you haven't met my wife, she's one of the sweetest things on the planet. So she's not one to complain or, send things back or whatever. So it pained her even to pick up the phone and actually do this. So as I'm guiding you through this story, I want you to kind of take the analogies and examples that I'm giving, with this hair color story, and I want you to put yourself in that position as it relates to your orthodontic practice. How would your team handle, hey, I'm really frustrated, I can't get into your schedule when I want. I'm really frustrated, when I walk in the door, you make me sit 10 minutes beyond my appointment time. These type of things, many other examples. So the person on the phone, her reaction, again, is not, and I've said this in many podcasts in the past, is that if you don't train on empathy, your people will not be empathetic. Even your nicest of nice employees, empathy rarely comes naturally, and even if it does, they still have to be trained on how to articulate it properly. So instead of this person on the phone going, wow, ma'am, I am so sorry. Like, you're a loyal customer. You came in and spent your hard-earned money. We are so sorry we messed it up. We're going to make this right. Instead of that happening, it's, well, you can come in, but we usually charge for that. So here's Kristen thinking, and God bless her because she has to deal with me all the time. But she's relating everything to what I teach and what I talk about and what she hears me talk about. And the thing is, and I had this conversation because this story gets better and better or worse depending on how you want to look at it, is that unless you provide rigorous training and role plays with your employees on how to handle these situations, they are not going to handle them properly. Matter of fact, the majority of the time, they're going to handle them in somewhat of a disaster form. Now, the problem is, again, these are the leaky holes that come out of your bank account every day, but you don't feel it because the money never went in. Right? These are the lost opportunities that your practice management software will never print out to you. This is why, in podcast for another time, and by the way, I'm wearing Rob Schaefer and Matt Josie out there, but this is Dr. Rob Schaefer got me this. If you're watching on the YouTube station, I have a t-shirt that I'm wearing that says that's a podcast for another time. It's become a huge joke internally with our company. And anyway, we just came off a mastermind group, and you've already heard the story about the shirt and the mastermind in a previous episode, but I'm wearing the shirt again, everybody. And that's where my brain, it's always going. And Kristen has to deal with that. But because she has to deal with it, she knows how much we help businesses, because this type of training does not exist in very many businesses. And if you want to create fans, not customers, if you want to create fans, not patients, these interactions are how you do it. The experiences, non-clinically as well as clinically, is how you do it. So this person, not knowing any better, isn't empathetic and is basically like, yeah, whatever, come in. She goes in, and, Kristen asks, I speak to a manager. Manager comes on, says the same thing. Like, yeah, usually we're going to have to charge, but, I guess come on in. Like, completely blows the phone call. And if one of the leadership team members gets on there and completely blows the phone call, of course the people that's the culture they create. Lack of leadership, poor culture, not a customer-obsessed culture. Right? So of course their employees are going to blow it too. So Kristen gets in there and, she sits back with the hair lady and, sits down there, and now they're going to, take out the yellow that she doesn't like. So they take it out, they do their thing, not really empathetic or apologetic when she's in there, basically makes her feel guilty. She leaves, she gets home, and what happens? Well, they overdid it. So now she's brown. Like, they basically took out everything, and now she's basically her normal hair color. And she is not a fan of the brunette, like I said. I like it. I haven't really seen it much because since I've met her, most people wouldn't even know she's actually brown hair color, brunette hair color, because she dyes her hair. Well, this is, they sucked all the dye out of it. So she calls back and, says, hey, look, we went from way too yellow to now you took it all out and now I'm brown. And again, no empathy, no apologetic, no apology, nothing like, hey, let's make this right. Nothing. Now it's like, hey, let's send in a picture. And they wanted her to send in a picture. And they responded back, well, it looks good to us. So this is the journey that this place is taking, right? And they mess it up in the beginning. They mess it up in the end. They made it absolute disaster and make her feel horrible for wanting it, what she paid for. She wasn't asking for money back. She just wanted to, hey, look, I just want to get this right. So they make her, like I said, send pictures. They argue with her and say, like, it is what it is. Like, if you come back, we're going to have to charge you. And for so many of you out there who can't take your head, your mind, your fingers off of the numbers on paper in front of you, these are the leaky holes that are happening all the time. So Kristen will never go back to this place. Now, the owners won't know why. They won't feel the pain, right? They're just saying, how do we get more customers through the door? And how do we advertise? And blah, blah, blah. And this is so many of you out there, your mindset. More customers, more customers, more customers, more patients. Then you wonder why your life is chaotic. You don't close that many people, why you have to dump a bunch of money into pay-per-click expenses, which, by the way, and this just drives me nuts. So many of you out there are spending $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month on pay-per-click. When if all you did was make your organic marketing unbelievable, search engine optimization, organic posts on social media, wonderful content on your YouTube station, was taught how to do that right. And then you went internal after that and trained your team on all the things, sales, hospitality, psychology, empathy would be one of those, presentation, verbiage skills, all these things, experiences. You wouldn't need to spend you wouldn't need to spend an ounce on pay-per-click. But this, everybody, is the first time with this new podcast format that I just took a real-life situation and brought it in. And like I said, these people are never going to feel that pain in their management software or whatever software they have that spits out the numbers. They're never going to feel that pain. And this is so many of you out there. You see your production, your collections, your new patients, your Invisalign bill, whatever it may be, your aligner bill. You see this stuff on paper, you feel the pain. But the stuff that is killing you the most is the stuff that you never even knew happened. A missed new patient call. You didn't get a referral because your team didn't know how to ask. You didn't get a 5-star review because your team didn't know how to ask. You didn't get a video testimonial because your team didn't know how to ask. There's a complaint at the front desk. Your team didn't know how to handle it. You didn't get the conversion because your TC said 2 or 3 words or more that took a sale out of a sale. Your doctor exam, too, the majority of that is non-clinical. It's a sales process. Presenting money. All of these things. Your patients wait in the waiting room 15 minutes past their appointment time, yet you get upset when they're not on time. And there's hundreds more of these infinite-minded things that you can't put on your finger on paper, that as a small business owner, entrepreneur, you better understand they're happening to you, and you need to seek and make investments on how to plug these things and turn them into very unique positive situations, unlike this hair place was able to do. They lost Kristen as a customer, and there was other things they did that I could go even deeper in. But you get the point. The initial complaint was mishandled. But they were like, hey, come in, like make her feel bad. Then they blew that. Then she complained again, and they basically argued with her and said, no, tough, it looks fine to us. So if you want it done, you're going to come in and you're going to pay us. Finite-minded. And there's going to be plenty of podcasts for the finite CEO versus the infinite CEO. But if you live in a people-first business like all of you do, if you live in a commoditization like all of you do, you better become unbelievable at the people first stuff, the people business first stuff. And you've got to understand these leaky holes are coming out of your business everywhere, whether you feel it or not. Get your people trained how to handle these difficult situations. Make sure you're the business that isn't losing people because of this type of behavior, because of the protocols, because of the culture, et cetera, down the line. All right, hope everyone enjoyed it. Thanks for your support out there. If you're watching on our YouTube station, give us a thumbs up if you would. Make some comments, create some dialogue, share this with your friends, colleagues out there. We'd really appreciate it. And it would really mean a lot, too, to give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast channel that you're listening to the show on. We'll see everybody soon. Bye-bye.